Hey guys, what's up? This is Emmy and Basis,
I'm Tony James.
and we're here to talk about a really cool game that was like underrated, but still fun and still sexy at the same time, and funny. And we're talking about Lollipop Chainsaw. Now, me and Mr. Tony James are going to talk about why there should be a number two to it. So, Mr. Tony James, would you like to please recap people what you think about the game? Like what you
Well,
remember?
I did a review for this game ages back, and I'm just holding it in my hand now, actually. Um, and one of the things that really struck me about it was this. One, you've got a uh, female lead in it that clearly makes it makes fun of the sort of sexploitation, if you will, that the media tends to portray women as. So you've got that in there, and it makes fun of that. You've got tons of like references to old style video games and stuff in there. Like for example, the boss battles, which I felt were a nice throwback. They've got mini games in there that made sense. Well, to me they made sense, and they were within context of what the game was telling in terms of the story. So, as a whole, it was a really cool game, and the humor. I mean, the humor tends to be hit and miss, but it has a really zany and really risque humor that I reckon is kind of cool to see in games, and it as well as carrying from ideas that have already existed, it's become something quite unique too, because um, let's put it simply, I don't think I've ever seen a game with a cheerleading, zombie slaying chick that has a head of her boyfriend on around her waist. That's just completely. I would have never thought of such an idea like that. So I give props to Sir 51 for that. Mm.
Okay. So, from what I remember from the game, basically, like he said, basically, um, of course, it starts at a high school, and then like there's like a bunch of zombies, and then of course the star who is Tara Strong, who's done a buttload of TV shows and a whole bunch of everything.
Voice acting legend right there.
Yes, one of them. Um, and she basically just lends her voice to this cheerleader who goes around with a chainsaw, and along with her boyfriend who is decapitated and basically has his head on her hip and just running around and stuff, and it's crazy. But yeah, so she basically runs around and tries to save the town and destroys like a bunch of the bosses and tries to make the world better. Yeah, and then hopefully save her
Yeah, well,
boyfriend.
it takes place on her birthday as well, which is really interesting. Um, and one thing I'll also mention, which was great about this, is it even took the liberty of adding something that a lot of games recently have had in them, which is an alternate ending. And from that perspective, it gives a bit of a movie-ish feel to it. How movies sometimes have alternate endings, so that was another thing that I really liked about it.
Yeah.
All right.
So in your honest opinion, why do you think the game should have like a sequel to it?
You know, I truly reckon the game should have a sequel because, you know, it's one of those games that is so very it's so very, you know, full of everything that I grew up loving with games when I was a kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's got boss battles in there, and like I was saying, things that um, things that made a lot of classic games really cool, and it even has some of that nostalgia in there, and I'm all for that nostalgia. I'm all for remembering what video games were like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm all for that soundtrack as well. That soundtrack um, that even that even elevated the game to a whole other level because the soundtrack was a mix of old and new, and I like that.
All right. All right. So, my honest opinion, I mean, I think it literally had enough content to like have another sequel. I mean, it had like such good stuff with it. I mean,
Mm.
like of course, I mean, you know, like let's get into more of the family like they're like zombie hunters and all that crap. Like actually add some more cool zombies to it, like more bosses. Like let's see how hardcore they can get. Like number one's just gonna be like kindergarten. Let's see what they can do in a number two. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
because I mean, bigger bosses, harder things to do. You know, more stages that would make you piss yourself, but still be funny and cool at the same time. And Tara, of course, Tara Strong. Love to see her come back. So definitely, yeah. So I think definitely it'd be great to see it come back. So that'd definitely be a one up. So just to sum it up for me, yeah, definitely. I think the game should definitely um, have a number two because it's just great. It has good content to it. It's funny. I mean, it's something new. It's not like where you're just first person shooter and just going around shooting zombies like you do all the time in not Battlefield. I'm sorry, Black Ops and all that crap. I mean, it's fun for a while, but then you get bored of it. Then it's like,
Mm.
okay. So, I mean, yeah, there's other different zombie games, but a different variety is great. So, that's my honest opinion. So, Mr. Tony James?
Yeah, I reckon I'd love to see more of it. One thing I reckon would be really interesting, and this is something that they could definitely do in the future game, is maybe having, you know, maybe having the option to play as, say, Cordelia or I mean, they kind of did that with the costumes and stuff
Mm-hmm.
because there was a crap ton of costumes you could get in the game. Some of them very sexy, I might add. But you know, it'd be awesome to play as other members of Juliet's family, uh, and maybe get to know them a little better because, I mean, being so centered around Juliet, you didn't really get to know her family so well. You got to see a bit of her family because she talked about it at the beginning of the game, but um, it would have been nice it would be nice to have a sequel that you know ventures down a more explained sort of path of more stuff about her parent
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, maybe they do Cordelia's birthday, or maybe they do Juliet's other sister, who was equally crazy. You know, they could do all kinds of things there. I mean, it's really just about when it comes to doing a sequel for a game like this, it's just about examining a few variables and coming up with, you know,
Hmm.
one that's perhaps never been explored before. And then maybe, just maybe, they might have a good sequel on their hands.
Definitely, yeah. And it would be great. I mean, they have the Xbox One and the PS4, so I'd like to see how that stands up to it a little bit. Like what are we gonna see? Is it gonna be good? Is it gonna suck? What? It's two different game engines. Hopefully they don't put it on the Wii U, because I think on the Wii U it would suck. But that's just my honest opinion. But I'm gonna end it here for myself. So, anyways, all right, guys, this is MEM Basis.
I'm Tony James.
We talked and/or ranted about Lollipop Chainsaw possibly or hopefully having a second game to the series, and we hope you all have a good day or night when you're watching this. Thank you for watching.
Awesome.